In this video, I'm going to show you the functionality that we are using through this form to insert data into the database. The key points in this demo are the validations that will be occurring when inserting data through the API. The same validations that you will see here in the UI, you can apply them through the API. And remember, this client was integrated into Foremost CMP. This client is the case tool and was integrated using Foremost CMP API. So basically what I'm demoing you is how you can get this done on your own platform, leveraging Foremost CMP, powerful functionality and simple to use. So with that said, I'm gonna start showing you real quick the validations we have already set up. I'm gonna describe them in design mode, then on runtime we will see them. So there's two validations currently set on all fields, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, if we can see, there's an asterisk all right by the right side of each label of each field. That means that's a required value. That's one of the two validations that are currently set up. The other validation is these three fields are integer. This one is the second one, and the third one is a big integer. That means that it only accepts numbers. So we have set up a regex validation on these three fields only. And that's the second validation we have set up. So now I'm going to show those validations in execution mode. So I'll try saving a record without putting any values. And we get the required validation executed, and it's not being successful, the insert, due to missing values. So I'm gonna start inserting values. I'm gonna show you first the current values we have in this table. We have MPID 1 and 2. So I'm gonna be using number 3. And this will be Albert. And he is 34. And he earns $34,000. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you the other validation we have only in this field. Okay, so the validation says that this is expecting a number. This would occur on the age and the salary field too, in case these were not numbers. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this one. I just wanted to show you the second validation. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. Okay, so it has been inserted. We can see that record here in the database. Also, since I have already set up the required values to execute a query over the data of that form, the employee form, I'm gonna show you that it is being returned in the result, that new record just inserted. So we currently are seeing 2. We will see 3. I'm gonna hit send. And we have the response back. So we have now the 3 records, Albert, was the new one. So I am going to switch and go now to the API to insert values into the database back through the API. So here we go. The parameters is a map string object in which we should provide the expected values that belong to that form. So I'm gonna quickly see we have MPID, name, age, and salary. Those are the expected values. So MPID is 1. I'm gonna put an empty value just to show you how it will be validated. Name was the second one, age and salary. Okay, I'm gonna put also empty here. So I'm gonna put the other two values. So I was saying that age and salary. Okay, age and salary. There we go. So we have now provided 4 values, empty, and we are going to see this in execution since we are trying to insert data, we will be calling the save command name to insert data into the employee table, which was designed inside the M902 asset library. Oh, also since it's data to be inserted, not query, we change the resource type to form instead of basket. The module, it does not change. It's being kept in memory, format, HTML, and the UUID of that form with the parameters and each one of those with the value. So I'm gonna go ahead, hit send, and what we are going to see, okay, what's saying is that the employee form it's not found inside the libraries. So let me see what went wrong. I'm gonna double check this value. This is very important. Yes, this is different. So that's why it was not found. There we go. I'm gonna hit send. Okay, so now the record was tried to be inserted, and what we get back is the fields with the source code that you can render on your screen, stating which fields were correctly provided and which were not. Besides, the valid attribute of each field will state saying with the Boolean value false for the values that did not go through the validation and true for the ones that did. Besides, you will get an error which will say in this case, since those values are missing, what's saying is a value is required. Also, as I mentioned, inside the source code, you will have to render the source code and you will see an error that will say a value is required, which is the same as error. This will happen for all the 4 fields since those 4 fields were not provided. Okay, so that happened in 1 second. Okay, so um, now what I will do is I will provide some values, and what I'll do is this was the first validation being executed, required value. The second validation will be duplicate values. So, and well, that'll be the third. The second will be that MPID should be a number. I'm going to provide text, which is wrong. And if I hit the send, what I will see in the MPID field is that the validation failed. And here it is, false, it failed. The error says we require a number. These validations are the same that you saw on the UI, because as I mentioned, this case tool is a client that was integrated using Formal CMP API, which is what I'm describing. So I'm gonna go ahead, as we saw, we have 1, 2, 3 as MPID values. I'm gonna go ahead and provide a number 3 with, let's say, Frank. Let's say he has an age of 30 and a salary of 23,000. So we already have this ID in the database. So this will be the only one failing. The rest are correct. We're going to see it. Okay, so I'm going to move to MPID field. Here it is, MPID. And it says valid false, duplicate value MPID. If you render the source code, you will see the same functionality that I'm gonna show you right here. So let's say duplicate MPID value was what you saw in the REST response. So that's how you insert values. The same validations that are occurring in the UI are the same here. I'm going to put number 4. Everything will be successful now. If we check the 4 fields, we will see that all of them valid true. There's no error. That's why it's null. Valid true, valid true, and valid true. So I just show you how to insert data through the API. I'm going to show you how we query for that same data. This is already set. Prior to executing the call, we checked, we had 3. With the new inserted record, we have 4. These 4 are the ones we are going to be getting in the response. Once more, I have to update the UUID. This is an old call, so I'm gonna go ahead, get the UUID, and update it. There you go, send. And we are getting back the 4 records we have, 1, 2, 3, and 4 inside the database. So that's all for now. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.